Credit card transaction fees. Merchants hate them because it means they lose on average 2% of every transaction to the likes of Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. But consumers who use credit cards smartly love them because it is these transaction fees that enable the banks to share a portion of their profits with credit card users in the form of cashback, airline miles, and hotel points that on this channel I teach people to use to get incredible luxury travel experiences for free. Well, there was a new bipartisan bill introduced to the House yesterday, September 19th, 2022, that aims to reduce how much card processors can charge in transaction fees. Now, this bill is identical to another bill that was introduced to the Senate in July called the Credit Card Competition Act of 2022. So what are these bills trying to achieve? How will they affect your credit card rewards? Basically, are you still going to be able to fly business class and stay in 5-star hotels almost for free if these bills pass? Well, we are going to explain all of that in this video. But first, I know you're watching this video because you want to get the maximum value out of your credit cards, and I'm all about giving value to the viewer. Right now, we have an amazing deal with the investing app Weebul where you can get up to 12 free stocks for opening an account and depositing any amount of money. You get 2 free stocks worth between $300 and $300 just for opening an account, and then either 4, 8, or 10 more worth between $7,000 and $3,000 for depositing any amount of money. Luck of the draw what you get, but the absolute minimum value if you just get 6 free stocks is $34, and the maximum value you can get out this is potentially over $30,000 if you luck out. Luck of the draw what you get. Link is below if you're interested. So here is a summary of what the Credit Card Competition Act aims to do. The bill generally prohibits credit card issuers from restricting the number of payment card networks on which an electronic credit transaction may be processed. Specifically, the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System must prohibit certain credit card issuers with assets of over $100 billion from restricting the number of networks on which credit card transactions may be processed to one network, 2 or more networks operated by affiliate networks or persons, or the 2 networks with the largest market share of credit cards issued. So what this means is that any credit card issued by a major bank in the US, like we just saw in the text, any bank with assets of over $100 billion, which is basically the biggest 30 US banks, and I think it's one credit union, like Chase, Citi, etc., all the usual suspects, it must make its credit cards usable on not 1, but 2 networks. And it can't be the 2 biggest ones, which are Visa and MasterCard. So if, for example, a card was a Visa, it must be able to be alternatively used on the Discover network or American Express or a smaller network like NYCE or Shazam. No, not the music discovery app Shazam, but there's actually a credit card network by the same name. However, foreign-owned credit card networks like China's Union Pay, for example, would not be allowed as a second network. And merchants would then be able to choose which network they run the card on, and naturally, they're going to choose the one with the lower fees. So this would then create competition between networks and drive fees down. Transaction fees, which are paid by merchants, amounted to $137 billion in the year 2021, according to a Nielsen report. And the 2 biggest credit card networks, Visa and MasterCard, accounted for $77 billion of that. So this bill is really to fight Visa and MasterCard's dominance over the industry, and I guess to lower fees for merchants. And that's probably why 1,700 retailers signed on to a press release from the Merchants Coalition supporting the bill. It's gonna help the mom and pop shops, which is probably what the representatives and senators want you to think of when looking at this bill. But the truth is, it's also gonna help huge retailers like Walmart and Costco as well. Since I can guarantee they're probably not going to pass on any of those savings to the consumer. And for your information, if credit card fees were reduced to 0 and that benefit was passed on to the consumer, the average family would save $900 per year. But in my opinion, that's not going to happen. At best, I think we will see a slower increase in prices, but not any reduction. So how is this going to affect credit card rewards? Well, I think it will change the face of the industry as we know it. Let's look at an example that makes it blindingly obvious. This is the Amex Gold UK version. Notice anything different from our Amex Gold here in the US? Yep, the welcome bonus is only 1/3 of what the US version of the card offers, 20,000 points versus 60,000. The rewards categories are not as good either. The UK version gives you 3 points per dollar basically just on travel. Yet the US version gives you 4 points per dollar on restaurants and US supermarkets and 3 points per dollar on travel. Why is it such an inferior product? Well, that is because UK law does not allow for high transaction fees. When the UK was in the EU capped credit card transaction fees at 0.3% for in-person transactions and 1.15% for card not present, mostly online transactions. That is a lot lower than the US average transaction fee of 2.166% in 2021. Now, since the UK has now left the EU, you might be thinking, well, they're going to now become just like the US and let the points and cashback flow. But no, that's not happening, because when the UK left the EU, instead of creating new laws for every little thing, they actually chose to retain a lot of EU laws. So the interchange fee regulation, or IFR, is now retained EU law, and it's part of UK law. And the funny thing is that the British are now complaining that Visa and MasterCard have raised interchange fees on transactions between the EU and the UK, because although both parties have the exact same law, the law doesn't apply to each other. So Visa and MasterCard can raise fees and there's nothing they can really do about it. So could a similar thing happen in the US? Well, the proposed law in the US doesn't implement a hard cap, but instead it increases competition to drive down fees that way. In my opinion, probably not as bad as placing a hard cap on fees, but in no doubt it will still lead to a decrease in the transaction fees paid by merchants. Unless the CEOs of all these credit card processor companies all play golf together at the weekends, and in which case you may mysteriously see no decrease at all. But yeah, the idea is this saves merchants money because of decreased fees, but then that is less money in the bank's pocket that they can use to pay out in the form of credit card rewards, so you may see welcome bonuses and rewards earning rates decreasing. In 2011, the Durbin Amendment to the Dodd-Frank Act led to a decrease in transaction fees on debit cards, and it cost banks $106 billion a year. This then led to a decrease in the number of free checking accounts offered on the US market, and also a decrease in account opening bonuses and rewards programs associated with debit cards. Now, whether this would have the exact same impact on credit cards is difficult to say, because credit cards can also earn income through interest on carried balances, things like annual fees, late fees, etc. But at a minimum, even if you see rewards staying the same, those late fees, those interest rates may increase. But personally, I'm not convinced that these bills would lead to a better situation for consumers or merchants at all, since studies have shown that when people use credit cards as opposed to debit or cash, they actually spend more money. So merchants may find that because of less attractive credit cards available on the market due to a reduction in fees, spending is down at their stores because less people are bothering to use credit cards, and with debit cards or cash, people spend more conservatively. And that then negatively outweighs any benefit from the decrease in merchant fees. Of course, that's just speculation, but anytime you go messing around with a system that has developed organically over many years, you do risk unforeseen consequences, even if you're trying to help. As a merchant myself, I really don't mind paying a little over 2% in transaction fees on the wallets that I sell. Did I mention I sell wallets? I mean, if you've got a credit card, like this one, you're gonna need a wallet to put it in. Makes perfect sense, right? I'll put the link below. They might even be on sale. You never know. In addition, I'll also put the link below for you to get up to 12 free stocks if you open an account and deposit any amount of money with the brokerage app Weebul. What do you think about all of this, guys? Leave your comments below. And don't forget that these bills may never pass. There are a lot of lobbyists working for the credit card companies in Washington, D.C., okay? So, you know, it might not ever come to anything. Please subscribe if you're new. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.